Hey everyone, good to see you again. This is Tony here from Bikeberry. Welcome to our brand new series, Build It Custom. Man, in our first series, we took our Switz Cruz, we put a stage 4 engine kit on it. What we're gonna do now though, is we're gonna take it and we're gonna make it this bike's twin. It's gonna be really cool because I'm gonna go through and show you how to design and how to assemble parts way beforehand so that you have the end result that you're looking for. So I'm gonna talk a whole lot about this. I'm even gonna show you my very first bicycle project where I took, a stock Huffy Cranbrook and I made it the way I wanted it to be. Okay? Are you ready for this? Let's roll. So in this first video, let's talk about form and function. So one way you could go about your build is this. You could order a bike, order an engine kit, get excited, put the engine kit on, get it going, and then go, well, I think I want some better forks. I think I'll get some Springer forks, right? And then you order those and you get them in, you put them on, right? Well, I really want some mirrors. Man, I'd really like some mirrors. Oh, well, these look cool. Let's put them on. Oh, maybe I want a seat, different seat. Let's go see. Do I want comfort or do I want more stylish or something that has a little bit of both, right? But you see how that pattern leads to you just kind of piecemealing it and finding the next best thing versus doing your research beforehand and going, what is the outcome that I want? So seeing, building it with the end in mind. That's how I would think of it, okay? I actually have my very first bicycle project outside that I did right before I got into the motorized bikes. Do you wanna go see it? All right, let's go see it. So here's my first experience with form and function, okay? So this is before I knew anything about motorized bicycles. I didn't know anything about this whole world. I didn't even know about Bikeberry or anything like that. So as you can see, this is a Huffy Cranbrook that I bought I bought it 13 years ago when our boys were born. It was blue. It had like a retro 1950s kind of vibe on it and paint job. And what I did is I was like, oh man, I really love, that board track racer style. I started to learn about those. And I was like, well, what can I do just to kind of retro this? Like, it was stuck outside. I left it in the rain and all that. But if you can see that I put the white Schwalbe Fat Frank tires on it. This is the original color of the accessories, I guess, fenders and all that. But this brown where I kind of painted it speckly to look rusty, it was blue, right? I just wanted to kind of the resemblance of a tank. So I put that piece of wood in there and then I used this leather belt. I bolted the leather belt on to look like, the straps. It actually was a Spider-Man, a kid's Spider-Man belt. See Spider-Man on there? But I went for just overall form and function of just a everyday riding bicycle, with the kids. So if you look, I just left these all rusty. I didn't do anything with them, but I found these foam grips that are wood colored, so it matches that, so you can start to see the form and function. This was my very first foray into figuring out form and function. I wanted a layback seat post, right? So I ordered one of these. I had to end up cutting it just so I could get it lower and everything, but I found one of these brown vinyl seats that looked retro. I painted the rims. They were blue. I painted them brown, right? I even found these pedals that were a little more retro looking and put those on. Same kickstand. So everything is pretty stock. I've just changed the appearance of it by changing out a few things. I'll definitely motorize this at some point, but I just thought it was a really good insight for you to see form and function. Oh, and I did an accent color with like that army green, right? Just to kind of kill some of that extra white on there and kind of give it a two-tone look. Let's see how that is. I even got one of those fancy bells, right? I hope that helps you kind of understand form and function. I, took a whole bike that was blue and not very appealing, I was kind of tired of it. And I was like, well, what about brown and cream colored? oh, I should put wood in here. That's kind of a cool idea. And I started mapping it all out. Oh, I should find grips that kind of match it better. All right, what was I talking about? Oh, I remember. Okay. Is building it with the end in mind. That means understanding what the styling is from the very beginning. If you're going to build a chopper build, you better look at a lot of choppers, right? What makes them distinct? What makes them stand out? And anybody to walk by, a total stranger to walk by and go, that's a chopper, right? Like, what is it about that? Or, you know, that's a board track racer, or that's a rat rod, or that's a 1960s psychedelic, like paint job or something, right? That kind of styling. You can do whatever you want, right? Like, you could piecemeal it and that'd be fine. But what I've seen from those in my own experience of building just anything and kind of working along and then solving the problems as I move, versus solving them beforehand, it just looks more jumbled, you know, like a jumbled project. Like it just kind of like it's just a piece and a part and another part, and you just put it together. I hope that makes sense to you. The process is not really well thought out with the end in mind. That's what we really want. So you can see I continued that same kind of theme on this bike, where I found, you know, these brown vinyl grips that match the same kind of seat that's on the other bike. Instead of layback seat posts, I just welded one up here. It's pretty rough, but I don't care. You can see that I even changed out how the speedometer is mounted. Most people, it's mounted like up here. I flipped the bracket around. Let's look at that bracket, and shaped it, right? So it kind of sits down in there. This is form and function. See this mirror? It's dusty, but you see how, okay, let's look at, give me a second here. So this mirror actually had a stem on it that held it. And you can see now it's just the ball, right? This ball in there. And you can see like the JB Weld stuff in there, right? It had a little stem. Well, it fell over one time and it broke off. So the little ball, what I did is I opened that up, glued that in there, and it's now even tighter. So it has a tighter appearance on the bike, right? And then I wanted letters on the side like old board track racers do. But this is the Eastman Kodak tins that I had. I had a whole stack of them. So then I just painted that in there. But you see how this form and function thing is happening? I wanted, you know, a leather, brown leather, you know, cover or whatever. And this is my kill switch. It's kind of coming apart here, so I need to rebuild it. But you can see form and function. That's my kill switch. My tank on the back. It just works. For some reason, with the shape, when you start looking at those angles, it just works. Even though it kind of shouldn't, right? And an old leather bag that I had, well, it's not that old, maybe 5 years old. I mounted it on the side. Things like that. Even painting the engine, it was silver, but just painting it out and kind of scuffing it and everything fits the vibe. See how that works? Form and function. Again, I left the original Schwinn badge on here, the head tube badge, right? But then I had these brass things. They're just cool, right? I didn't want it steampunked, but I wanted it with accents that matched, right? Even removing, you know, the clutch cover. People are like, oh, I've been doing that for years. It's fine. And it has been fine, right? Seeing how even this brake here, form and function, right? This works really well. It's off of a mountain bike. Works really well. I welded it on there, ran it across, works excellent. Another, you know, number 10 from a Kodak film can. Even, see, form and function. Taking and flipping my taillight sideways. This is normally supposed to be held like this, but I flipped it on the bracket. And when you look at the back of the bike, this has a cool, it's a little crooked, but I don't care. Isn't that cool? Oh, it's only crooked because I left that way. That's better, right? But it has a different look to it when you look at it like this, right? Even the muffler, not a high performance muffler. but I wanted it here, right? I wanted it low. I'll eventually get a much better quality one that kind of comes up here, you know, like everyone has. But I knew that I wanted kind of that board track style race, you know, racing bike with, without buying a bunch of extra parts. So really, this is just a Schwinn, maybe a 12 or so year old Schwinn cruiser that I just flipped the handlebars around on, right? Did some things because I thought of form and function, okay? So when you think of form and function, form is what are you going for? What kind of look are you going for? So you got to define that. Is it board track, rat rod? Is it, you know, like, do you want a really sleek, modern look, right? With a fancy paint job, that kind of thing. Like really define what you want and then go after that. And what happens is because you'll plan so well in the beginning that it'll start to take form in an even better way. And as you move along, you'll solve problems in it that'll just make it better versus buying a part, putting it on, buying another part, putting it on, and not really seeing the whole thing through, okay? But as you can see on here, it was a silver bike, and I literally, without taking it apart, I painted the whole thing black. We'll do that to the Switz Cruz, because the whole goal is to turn the Switz Cruz into basically this bike's twin. So, form and function. So, the form of it, as I just said, pick the styling that you want to go to. But then the function of it, you want it to operate as a single machine. One thing I hear in the group a lot is, oh, I'm having to work on these things a lot and all that, which I think that's a symptom of piecemealing your project together, okay? So when you think of function, you want it to operate as a single machine through and through, okay? So let's say that you're going to build your bike and you want board track style from the beginning. Like I didn't even really know at the time when I built this about Springer forks or anything. I saw them, but I didn't really know what fits. So by the time I got to welding on these, you know, new improved fender brackets and things like that, I had already gone far enough to I'm like, I don't really want to change it. So I just never do it, you know. But let's say you want board track style. Start looking at those old pictures. Some of them have just forks. Some of them have a Springer fork, right? There's all these varieties of it. Then do your research on what kind of Springer forks are available. Are they going to fit your frame and all that, right? Really problem solve. Do you want a front disc brake like this has? Now this one, I had to totally modify everything, even the rim, because it's just a Huffy rim, to make all this work. Well, we have on the Bikeberry site, we have rims that you can buy. That makes it a lot easier than what I had to do. But problem solving those before you even start your build will help immensely with the quality and the uniformness of your build, okay? And it being a functional machine as a whole, okay? So let's say you want a board track build. Start looking at what makes a board track, right? What were they going for back in the day that resulted in the styling being what they are? Now, yeah, a lot of them they all had tanks right here, but on a modern bicycle and with the tank that we're given with these kits, I was like, I don't really want to see that, because when I see pictures, even the Switz Cruz, when I see it, I'm like, that tank just looks so high. It's like, because it's like the bike sits at this angle, which looks cool, right? But I was like, I just don't want that. I want that low look. So I'm thinking of form and function there. So right now I have the tank on the back, which I actually dig it. That was just a decision to go, well, it's temporary. I'll get one of those round tanks. And I do have one. I just haven't put it on yet. But I kind of like the tank on the back, even though I thought I wouldn't, you know. But thinking of form and function, it's really important. What kind of, the form is the shape. I'm going to go back to this a lot. What kind of styling do you want? Start there. What parts make that styling? Okay? Then get them before you start your build and plan the entire build all the way through. Okay? Another thing is I wanted the handlebars a little more clean. Okay? And so I didn't want the kill switch on there. So I put the kill switch above my CDI and I got an extra button, right? A different button for it. Things like that, like form and function, because the overall appearance of it and the functionality of it is the result of planning well ahead, okay? As we move along in this journey, you're gonna see form and function come to life. So this first video was just me, I just wanted to kind of talk about what the ideas of form and function and what makes something to where a stranger could walk up and say, oh, that's a board track, that's a chopper, right? That's a whatever. So I hope those examples helped you with the brown bike and then this black bike. And I had planned out those before I, jumped in and did everything. I planned what colors I wanted, and I did some tests and things like that. Just to get some ideas, I looked at a lot of photos, right, of old things or things that I wanted to reference. Building with the end in mind is absolutely the way to go. You wouldn't build a house without knowing what the end result is going to be. You wouldn't build a bridge without knowing what the end result would be. We wouldn't build a race car without knowing what the end result would be, right? Because if you're going to build a NASCAR or even just, like the local racers around here, they know what they're going for so that they can compete, right? Because it has to perform to a certain level. Well, there's no reason you can't do that with the motorized bike, right? Is you can build it with the end in mind, and then everything just works smoother, and then all the kind of what I would call happy accidents happen because you're problem solving as you're moving through it. So I hope these examples helped you. Again, I know we've been saying it for a long time, but we're going to give away the Switz Cruz project. We're going to turn it basically into this bike's twin. I'm super excited about that. We're going to do, a lot less videos than the Build It Right series had, but anyway, we'll start talking about it hot and heavy then, but keep engaged. We appreciate you all. We thank you so much. There's links below to get on the giveaway list. Please just keep filling that up. You can go to our site with the coupon code that I'll put below, and that way you'll get some money off and you'll be automatically entered in the gift. So please, like, subscribe, ask me any questions below, give me ideas, join our Facebook group. It's awesome. A lot of good people helping each other in there. Till next time, let's roll.